Now let us look at an example where you can use a float data type. Okay, let us look at this simple example of using a float. My class name is defined as float demo. There would be my file name as well, and in my main method I have one variable float. But when you look at this program for the first time, you will see something little bit different than the other variables we have used. Now here you will see there is a value called f, and even here I have a variable value f. This is to imply, or this is to indicate to the system I am using a float value. To use this float value, I have defined here the temperature. Now I have a variable to define the temperature, and I have given the value of 31, which is a float, and I want to multiply that by 0.2. Let us look at the output of this program. Now again, so the file name is float demo, and I can compile this one with Java float demo. Now of course I get the answer with the fractions, because floats support fractions. Now as I am using float, I had to use the value, or I have to use the f to indicate this is a floating value. But what would happen if I remove the f? Now let me remove the value f and see what is the output. Now I have removed the value f. I am going to save this one, and I am going to compile the program. There is no error. So then what is the purpose? So if there is no error, if you remove the value f, so what is the purpose of value f? Actually now 31 can be used because it does not have fractional values. So but if you are going to use 31.5, I am just going to add 0.5 here and save, and I will go back to the command prompt and try to compile it again. Now you will see that it generates an error saying, so the float demo Java line number 7 error, possible loss of precision. So I cannot use 0.5 with the floating value. So how can I fix this one? So I can again start using the value f here, and I can save this one, and I can go back to the compile time, or like I can go back to the command prompt. I will just clear the screen, and I want to compile my float demo Java program. Now you can see it's compiled successfully. Now I can execute this one or run this program, float demo. So you can see the answer. The next floating point type we are going to discuss is double. Now the double is little bit similar to the float, but it has a difference when it comes to the usage. So the one difference is it needs 64 bits of space to store a single double variable. So with that space, what you can do is you can store a large number with decimal points or with the fractions. Now you can see how it is defined, how you can define a double, so which is not different from any other variable. So to understand a variable or the usage of a double, let's look at an example where we calculate the area of a circle. We are in another example of using the floating points in Java. Now in this specific case, we are using the double variable or double data type in our calculation. Now you can see the standard class, and we have defined the class, and in our main method we have 3 variables which is needed for our calculation: pi, r and a. Now the radius of the circle change and see a different outcome, but the value of pi is consistent, so you can't change this one in this case, and you can do the calculation. So you can see Java can do a simple calculation like this. You can add other operators as well, like minus or plus, and you can store that output to a variable. In our case, the calculation or the result of this calculation is stored in variable called a. It is similar to a simple assignment operator. Now, you can see in this line what happens is the value given here is assigned to the value called or variable called pi. Now, in our next line we have the variable a. So, the output of this calculation is stored here or assigned to the variable a. Now, if I print the value of a, you can see the area of the circle. Now, when you want to test a program, what you can do is you can add println method to different places in your program. As an example, before this line, if you want to find out what is the value of a, in this line you can use system.out.println and a to find out what is the value of a before this calculation. Now, after this calculation, we are checking the value of a and we are printing into the screen. Now, let us compile this one and see the results. So, I am going to compile this one again, Java C area demo dot Java. So, area of the circle is this one 366.43624. Now, this is a good example where you can use Java program to do your calculations depending on the requirement. Now, as I mentioned earlier, so always you can go back to the program and tweak or change the values and get a different output. Instead of 10.8, if it is 20, so you will see how the result change. So, you need to save the file and go back to the command prompt and compile it again, and you can see the area of circle is changed now.